You're listening to the Battle Belongs podcast, where real stories meet unwavering truth. This show is a space for bold conversations, powerful testimonies, and unshakable faith. In a culture at war with truth, we're here to remind you, the battle doesn't belong to us. The battle belongs to the Lord.
I cannot believe I got to witness one of the greatest rivalry games this past weekend. Pittsburgh, West Virginia. A game I wish I could have been at, honestly. It's good for the culture. It's good for college football. It was one of the greatest finishes that we've seen in the rivalry. Rich Rod back on September 13th, 9/13, the game that you remember, every West Virginia fan remembers very clearly, back in the day that cost them a chance to go to the national championship on this day, on this year. Rich Rod gets his redemption. And it was, I was told, a top 5 environment and top 10 game ever in that stadium. What are your thoughts? Weren't you there? Were you supposed to be there?
I was supposed to be there. Yeah.
You weren't there?
Mm-mm.
Why?
Because God had other plans for me.
Oh, man. Yeah, you're right. I knew that.
I get 2 minutes down the road from the gas station and my car starts kicking where it wouldn't shift gears, and then engine light came on.
And if you know Coleton, you know that he's traveling pretty much every weekend during the fall for college football, specifically West Virginia football. This game, I would argue,
the only game I cared about on the schedule.
This is arguably the game that every fan, Pittsburgh or West Virginia fan, looks forward to every year.
Mm-hmm.
And you did. You
and
were
it's
looking
the last
forward to
one
it.
until
you actually were going to stay like all weekend in West Virginia, correct?
I was. Yeah.
Or Maryland.
Yeah. But it's the last time we play them until 2029.
And it was probably, the last few years have actually been really good finishes between the two.
But not this time. They choked.
I can't believe it. And I can't believe you weren't there, to be honest.
Yeah, I cried. Because we won and because I wasn't there to see us win.
Oh, I am so thankful in light of everything going on in the world, though, we got to witness a great game like that. So,
from afar.
I argue, I love watching football from.
No, it's horrible.
My couch. My own bathroom. Food is cheaper. What more can a guy ask for?
The atmosphere.
Turn it on the TV and turn it up loud. Hey Siri, cue the Tavon Austin highlight tape.
It's third down. Boom. Okay, enough of college football talk. We'll get to that at the end.
Will we?
Maybe.
It's been, we talk about cancel culture. He's trying to cancel my college football time on this podcast.
Does anyone actually listen to it? Let us know.
Yeah. Comment in the section, I listen. So.
Someone last night yawned. Casey.
She said, yawned during that?
Yeah, she said college football. Yawn.
Oh, that's what she meant?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You don't pay attention. Okay, so last week we talked about the tragic assassination of Charlie Kirk. This week we're also talking about the tragic assassination of Charlie Kirk, but more or less like the response of people in the world over this. The response code. And I think we kind of just brushed the surface of it last week because it was the day after
literally
that had happened, and there was already some responses coming back that were negative. But the 48 hours and until now, we've seen some of the most pure evil wickedness all over social media. What were your thoughts just watching the reactions pour in, whether it was TikTok, whether it was Twitter, celebrities, not celebrities, just evil?
Yeah. I think we expected it, which is kind of crazy to say. You would think I could sit here and just say, wow, what evil, what a disturbance, how disgusting. And yet I'm not surprised by some of who we saw or didn't respond.
Mm-hmm.
That's a whole nother thing is people not stepping up to the plate and saying the tragedy that took place.
Yeah.
But just the evil, like you said, by celebrities, those that have TV shows. I mean, we can go down the line. We know The View. We know about Jimmy Kimmel. The left. I hate to say it, but like we've seen people just going on campuses and celebrating such a thing. People posting videos to celebrate. I saw a video of a mom indoctrinating her kids and saying, "I have great news," and them responding with, "Donald Trump died? No. The vice president died? No." And I don't even know if that had anything to do with Charlie Kirk, but it surfaced this past week, and it's disturbing.
Her surprise was that Taylor Swift got engaged.
Yes. Yeah.
Who also didn't say anything about the shooting. Shocker. Thoughts on Taylor Swift? Anytime I can take a jab at Taylor Swift, I'm going to take it.
That's I don't know if I agree with that statement.
To call her out, 100%. Every time I
take a
chance.
jab.
Yeah, a jab to call her out.
So you're looking for ways to
nope, she makes it easy. She puts it on a silver platter in front of me.
Oh, for all my Swifties out there,
stop following her. That's all I have to say. Okay, so a lot of people have been asking me, I don't know if they've asked you too, just like our overall thoughts on the conspiracy theories about this. And several people have asked me like my thoughts on Candace Owens and her take on all of this regarding Israel, regarding the conspiracy theory that she has. And I just kind of want to start with that I don't think Israel had any involvement in this whatsoever. I think that's kind of a crazy take that Israel would murder.
Why? So for the people like me, why would Israel even... How did that even come into play?
Yeah, so if you know Candace Owens, she has shifted fully from like supporting Israel to verbally saying, "I'm never going to support Israel ever." Same thing with Tucker Carlson, and a lot of people are just questioning Israel's motives within the United States. You know, you're hearing about Israel's causing genocide in Gaza, all of that stuff. But if you have an ounce of common sense regarding what's happening in Israel, they are fighting terrorists, and they are fighting against a terrorist group that uses innocent humans as human shields. So are innocent citizens going to die in this war? Yes. Is it tragic? Yes. But that's not going to stop Israel from protecting their country and the rest of the world from Hamas, who is out to destroy Israel and America, to annihilate them completely. So Israel even, they'll fly over a target area and they'll drop like hundreds of thousands of pieces of paper that says we're going to, have a strike on this area because there's Hamas leadership or whatever. Now's your time to get out. And they give them ample time. You never hear about that ever in another war where one side is giving the citizens and the innocent people time to get out before they strike. So the way that Israel was brought up into this was Charlie Kirk allegedly started like questioning Israel's motives, kind of. And he was wondering, should we be focusing on Israel or America more? Like the whole America First movement. So that's just in short what was going on. And allegedly he was meeting with people who were telling him who he needs to have on stage or who he shouldn't have on stage regarding Israel. Like the pro-Israel people weren't wanting like Tucker Carlson on stage at Turning Point events because he's leaning anti-Israel or not necessarily supporting them fully. And then you have the people who are against Israel who are saying that you shouldn't have these Jewish people on stage at Turning Point. So everyone's saying that there was like this pushback and Charlie was like in the middle of it, and that Bibi Netanyahu, the prime minister of Israel, called Charlie to kind of have like this middle ground area and invited him over. And no one knows like the full facts because they're not released. But that's the gist of
She's taking that and creating a theory behind it.
Yes, possible. And she's never said the words that I think Israel did it.
Mm.
But she's talking about it in
Kind of
circles,
Yeah.
alluding to the possibility it might be him or it might be Israel. And I don't think Israel had anything to do with that. So I just want to put that out there. I think Israel would never do such a thing. Especially because Charlie Kirk has always said, I love Israel. I'll support Israel. But just raising questions.
I guess I just I don't really understand either, though. We see in America the freedom of speech. We see people like Charlie Kirk, even Stephen, what's his name? He used to do the Change My Mind videos on campuses.
Crowder?
Yes, Louder with Crowder. People like that constantly on campuses, and we see most of the time what we see online are the people that stand against them. They're debating them.
Yeah.
And a lot of times we see the clips of people in the responses. They're not always. I've even heard people say like, "I hope you die." I hate you. All those things.
I even get that.
Right. And so it just doesn't make sense to me for some like Israel to somehow have involvement in somebody like Charlie. It just to me makes more sense that what took place did happen from somebody in America that's always around it, that they just out of evil, like just being evil, decided to do what they did.
Yeah. Now I will say that Candace is kind of like questioning the whole investigation. And I agree with a lot of the points that she raises because there's like a lot of inconsistencies in this whole investigation, whether it's the timestamps, whether it's the surveillance footage that we have. Not a lot of things are adding up. One of our friends brought up the other day about the rifle that he had. Did he somehow take it apart on the roof and then jump down off the roof? Because you can't really see a rifle there jumping off the roof. And then did he put it back together? And then did he leave it somewhere? And then why would he leave it somewhere and then want to go back and get it? And why was he sticking around? All these questions.
Well, we saw the text messages,
valid.
right?
Yes.
Between
and
him
Candace
and
thinks those are fed. Like it's fake by the feds. Because of the words like vehicle. And she started off one of her episodes saying like, pull up your text messages and then go to the search bar and then type in like vehicle. And how many times do you use the word vehicle? And I was like, that's a good point. But then I realized that both of us actually use vehicle more than I thought we would in our text messages. So she was like, the wording just sounds so scripted. And it could be from like the feds or something. Are you looking at vehicle now?
Yeah, I actually have a lot.
Yeah. So,
that's just vehicle. So it's pretty.
So I don't really understand that part. But I do think there are some inconsistencies that just aren't adding up. But I will say, I think that might also be because they have to form this case around this guy and make sure like everything is spotless and perfect so that there's no mistrial or the defense can say, well, here's an inconsistency because they're going for the death penalty, right? So everything has to be lined up perfectly. So I also don't think that they should just be releasing everything they know to the world pre-trial, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
What I will say that I firmly believe, and I think anyone who thinks otherwise is choice words, just stupid, number one, that this would be someone on our own side who killed him. Why in the world would that even remotely make any sense? Why would it be a Republican? And then you have the idiots on the left and the media, when it first came out that his parents were Republicans, they're like, oh, see, we got him. He's a Republican. He's one of the Trump supporters. So it was a Trump supporter with a gun killing another Trump supporter. So don't come at us at all whatsoever. And then it comes out that he's been trending far left over the past couple of years. He's in a relationship with a male who's thinking he's a female as his roommate. There comes the trans ideology and the trans hate. And he even said that Charlie Kirk, spews all this hate. Therefore, I had to take him out. So did you see people calling it kind of like what's it called, friendly fire, and what you didn't see anyone calling it friendly fire. Well, that's what Jimmy Kimmel said.
I saw the clip where somebody thought like in the crowd they just shot out a bullet out of celebration, which was
I haven't talked about that one.
I didn't
last
really.
week.
Yeah, I don't see how that would have made any sense.
That
Like
was
somebody
the-
just pulling a gun out and being like, "Hooray!"
Yeah. That was the full one MSNBC saying, well, we don't know the facts yet. It might
He got
have just
fired
been,
though, right?
Yeah. It might have just been a supporter shooting his gun off in celebration. Like, what mental gymnastics do you have to go through to even think that could possibly be true? But what Jimmy Kimmel was saying was basically like, this is one of Trump's own people.
Yeah.
So it wasn't necessarily like celebrating Charlie's death. It was the stupidity.
Well, he's a
behind it all.
big. If anything else, like in the past year or two, you've noticed it isn't Jimmy Kimmel's show that people are like talking about. It's his hate for Donald Trump. That's
every conservative.
At least that's like all that my social media talks about. When Jimmy Kimmel pops up, it's because he's talking about the Republicans. He's talking about those that like Trump, and he just hates him. I think that's the conclusion that we can draw, is he just hates Donald Trump. And sadly, what that fed into is these comments he's made around somebody being assassinated, which rightfully so led to his show being canceled.
Thank God.
I think it's justified. I really do.
Yeah.
I don't think that this is over the top. I know that there's been we talked a little bit ago about Ben Stiller, his tweet about this isn't right. Well, what's not right about it? You know, do you want to slap on the wrist? I think it's built up over time. I don't think this is just a one-hit wonder. I think people are starting to realize, and I think that's the beauty in tragedy and devastation, that Charlie Kirk, his life was taken from him at an early age. And we could talk about just the dynamic now with his wife, his kids. Like there's a time of mourning, but at the same time, I think Charlie would want this as well. This is such a wake-up call for America, for people that stand on opposite sides. This is something that can ultimately, I think, lead us not into a civil war like we've talked about for years, that the possibility of that taking place. But I think what this is doing is creating a rallying cry like we mentioned last week. And I really do believe that somebody asked me the other day, like, is there hope for the future? Absolutely. And sadly, it took his life being taken from him. But again, I just truly think this is what he's fought for. And if you were to tell him before the shot was taken to his neck, he would still he would have still gladly said, yeah, take my life, if this is what it means.
He still would have went to the campus and done it. Yeah. We were talking about the whole free speech thing and all of these leftist people spewing hate. It's no wonder why things take place like this. And they are so blinded to the tragedies that they cause by their rhetoric. I did a clip on The View, or regarding The View, because they were talking about, how did we get here? How did we get to this point where someone would take another life over politics? I just don't understand it. And they're trying to have fake emotions and all of this stuff for TV, just for the show. And they're exactly why we're here. People like The View, the women on The View, who have done nothing but spew hate ever since Donald Trump walked down those escalators in 2015 to run for president. They've done nothing but spew hate and division. Same thing with Barack Obama as president. He's the one who started dividing the country again based off of race. And that's when you started to see the riots break out. That's when you started to see this BLM movement start burning down cities and trashing communities. And they have divided the country. They've spewed nothing but hate. And then they wonder how we get here. They're to blame. Their rhetoric is the ones to blame, not us. And they talk about gun control. It's funny that they call for gun control right after they use a gun to kill us. That makes sense. And then you shared the thing about the whole abortion thing of gun control would take all the guns away, but abortion wouldn't take all the abortions away.
I even saw something like, you could take abortion away, but we would still have it illegally done. And something along the lines of like, take guns away, they'll still illegally I don't know like where the tie-in is there. I sent you the video of that though.
Well, that's their logic.
Yeah.
If we ban abortions are still going to happen. But if we ban guns, then gun deaths are just magically going to disappear for them.
Yeah.
No, they're the ones who use them. Last thing I'll say on Candace Owens, and then moving on, I think it was very appalling that in her podcast, she kind of made this whole thing about Catholicism with Charlie. Who cares?
Yeah.
Whether he was trending Catholic or not.
Right.
And then to say that she told him, Charlie, you're too smart to be Protestant, is a slap in the face to any Protestant in this country who would follow her or listen to her.
She just recently converted to Catholicism too in the past year, I think.
Yeah, and that's kind of when things started to go haywire. No comment on that. And then she was like, also basically like, you're one step away from being Catholic. Who cares? Why would that even need to be brought up? Erika didn't bring anything up about Catholicism in her speech that she gave. And Charlie, there's a clip of Charlie saying something along the lines of, you shouldn't be like focusing, I'm paraphrasing, you shouldn't be focusing on trying to get people to become Catholic. You should be focusing on getting people to know Jesus.
Yeah.
And I think that's the right answer every single time. Not trying to get them to be part of a denomination.
Yeah, I think just this like 10 seconds on this, but that is such an issue in today's world. Like when I talk to people and I say like, oh, like, do you have a faith background? A lot of times like you want to hear like, oh, I follow Jesus. Like they're not starting with, oh, I'm Presbyterian, I'm Baptist. They're a follower of Christ. But a lot of times when I talk to brothers and sisters in the Catholic faith, they're like, oh, I'm Catholic. And I'm always like, well, what does that mean?
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean by that? Separate, because I'm like, are you a Christian? Oh, I'm Catholic. What? And so I have a lot of friends in the Catholic camp that I believe are genuine followers of Jesus.
Yeah.
And then on the other side of that, I think there's a lot wrong with the Roman Catholic faith. There's a lot of things that are added to and missing from the standpoint of what a follower of Jesus is. And that's a whole episode I do want to talk about eventually, but I'll just say that, like, yeah, I agree with you. I think her focus, her standpoint of trying to, I guess, convert him is really kind of self-centered in a way.
I just don't know what purpose it serves. Okay, kind of going back to this free speech now. We saw a lot of people get fired over the past week because of their social media posts regarding
professors and teachers.
Professors, teachers, just
news anchors.
Yes. And they're all whining about free speech. Number one, I never heard the left bring up, well, what about free speech during 2020 when any of us said anything regarding COVID or questioning the jab that I didn't get, that other people got. What happened about free speech during the 2020 election when President Trump was running again and Meta, Mark Zuckerberg, through Facebook and Instagram, was censoring conservatives and censoring anything regarding the election? What happened when we had foreign entities interfering with our elections, also trying to censor us? They didn't bat an eye. But now when leftists want to celebrate the worst assassination in a very long time in American history, and then they get fired for it, it's suddenly an attack on free speech. Yet they signed policies for their workplace that say, like, you can't say things like this. And then they violate it, and then they wonder why they get fired. Do you think it's an attack on free speech?
No, especially if you're signing a contract. This goes back to the whole concept of, like, what love is, where people are like, you can't say that to me. Like you cannot tell me what I can and can't say, because that's not loving. Well, love, from a biblical standpoint, is obedience. And obedience then feeds into our everyday lives. So if I'm under the right of, like, say a school or a university, then I have things to abide by. That does not mean, like, for me as a Christian, that I'm hiding my faith per se. You don't, like, in America, there is a freedom, so you don't have to hide your ideologies per se. But there are things that you know up front that you can and can't do. Like, I'm not going up to my teachers or professors and shoving the gospel down their throat. I'm living in the way that Christ would have me to, which I believe is ultimate truth. Versus, what's the word? There's a universal truth, and then there's the your truth, my truth theory. And so for me, I just don't understand the whole, I guess, conspiracy theory behind freedom of speech being taken away. You're abusing it. I guess I just don't really understand. I don't understand why people would want to side with the way that they do, like their thought process being spoken out loud and saying, like, oh, I should be allowed to say I want this person to die, or I'm glad that this person was assassinated. And left, right, whatever it is, you deserve the consequences of your actions.
Well, I think it also goes to, like, free speech has limitations when your speech incites violence. And a lot of these people were saying things that would lead to more violence and lead to others potentially being murdered for the exact same beliefs.
Well, like,
as
for
Charlie.
example, the Nebraska guy, I don't know if you saw I think I sent it to you. This guy just randomly pulled up to the University of Nebraska, set up a little table, and on 4 pieces of paper that he printed out, it said Charlie deserved it, and he was wearing a mask. And a bunch of students just took it upon themselves and threw him into the pond. Like, you got what you deserved. Like, why would you think in your right mind that is an okay approach to this?
Well, that's how sick and wicked these people are. That's why I know. Whenever I never question, but if I ever had to question if I was on the right side of morality in politics, this incident sums it up. I'm on the right side of this.
What would be your response to people that say, okay, for example, take that situation in Nebraska. On the opposite side, why, like, somebody comes to you and says, well, Charlie Kirk and these other guys are pulling up to campus and sparking debate or just manipulating students or making them look stupid. What's the difference? What would your response be to that?
Well, I don't think I would have thrown him in a pond or
the
whatever
guy?
it was. Yeah. Did he deserve that? Probably. He didn't deserve death for it. What's your question regarding?
So a lot of people that maybe lean liberal, there's an argument out there that what Charlie Kirk and people like him represent when they go on these campuses is hate towards the opposite side. When realistically, what we see is just a debate. And what this is doing, in my opinion, is allowing students for maybe the first time ever to critically think and start to ponder this idea of how they can think on their own.
Yeah.
I think a lot of times there's an agenda at universities and campuses or workplaces, whatever it may be, that's already been established. But what they're doing is allowing the freedom of conversation to take place, which then allows you and I, or people like us, to then go home and ponder, what do I believe? And a lot of times we're fueled by people that we are mentored by, or maybe we're inspired from. That's why celebrities, like, people start thinking politically or spiritually or anything like that because of a person that they look up to. Yeah. And so before chasing rabbit trails there, my question is, what would you say is the response code? Like, what's the difference between something like that situation and Charlie popping up on university campuses and sharing his thoughts?
Yeah. Well, I think that's it, is Charlie went to share his thoughts and have a respectful civil conversation regarding social issues and cultural issues that are happening all around the world today. And what the clown did in Nebraska was he went out and was trying to entice someone to do something. That was his motive. It had to be, because why else would you go out there and celebrate the assassination of
And I don't know
someone?
what kind of campus Nebraska really is as far as like liberal, conservative.
It's pretty red state. But like what would his motive be other than to incite something else and get people ticked off to then retaliate and do something, maybe to get it on camera, and then be like, oh, look at these people. We weren't the ones who were burning down the cities. After this incident, we were the first ones to just stop and pray and rally together, and turn to something bigger than ourselves when tragedy strikes. And what Charlie did, and what people are still continuing to do, is just go to a campus, have a civil discussion about a topic, allow for the other side to give their rebuttal to it, and then you just go back and forth in a civil way. And never once did I ever see anything that was hateful. It was always loving. And I saw something, Allie Beth Stuckey posted in her podcast. She said, I almost wrote down that Charlie treated everyone equally. And then she was like, but that wasn't true. Charlie treated everyone great who he was friends with and knew, but he went out of his way to be even more gracious to those who disagreed with him, and who were lost. So he went above and beyond for these people who hated him and tried to show them the grace and mercy of Jesus through it all. And so that was his crime. That was his crime for being murdered, was being respectful. And it's so funny when people say that Charlie was hateful and divided the country. Like, do these people ever just stop and look in the mirror at themselves and just say, man, is what I'm saying actually true? Or am I the problem?
Yeah, that should be a question all of us
These
are
people are the
asking.
problem.
I think it's a humility that we put on daily that says that I'm not always right. And I'll be the first to tell you. My wife will tell you I am not always right. But the reality of it is that we have to kind of step back, like you said, and kind of see things from a broader perspective. Is this really make sense? Is what I'm doing in love, or what I'm doing just kind of fit the quota of trying to meet everybody's needs in this world and what they want to believe?
Yeah. Well, last week when we were filming this, I said that I kind of felt like emotionless because it was the day after. I cried a lot the night before. I woke up the next morning and just felt like numb to it all. But over the past week, just watching all this unfold, like I'm mad. I have a lot of anger, but I think it's righteous anger because of what we're seeing. We're seeing evilness just on a rise. It's not like I want to go out and retaliate against these people in the way that they would. But it fuels me now to do better, to do more, to change more minds, to continue the legacy that he started. And by continuing that legacy, they had to find someone at Turning Point to continue what Charlie started. And we talking last week, we didn't know who would be like the next theories. Charlie Kirk.
Yeah.
And I think we both agree that there's never going to be another Charlie Kirk. There can't be. There's too big of shoes to fill. But I said during her Erika's speech that she gave, I said she's taking over Turning Point. She's going to be the next leader. And yesterday we saw that the board of Turning Point appointed her elected her as the CEO and the leader of the board. And I don't think there's anyone else more deserving right now than Erika. And I think it's probably the best choice they could have made.
I agree. Her speech in itself was showed so much. She was just strong, and in light of the tragedy that struck, and you could tell she's very emotional right now. She lost her best friend, her husband, the caretaker for her children. He is dad, And so her having to really just step up and say, talk through this with her children, and carry herself the way that she is, and to go on with everything, and like absolutely everything. Nothing, to my knowledge, has been canceled or taken out of the equation for the future of Turning Point and the future of his legacy and so forth. When realistically, she could have just stepped back, deleted everything, and just said, "I'm gonna take time and just kind of chase that route." But instead, she's saying, and I think you're the one that said, I wanted to like run through a wall after she said, this is only going to ignite a fire. Like this is, and I'm paraphrasing, but she is like, this is a launching pad for what's going to take place. If you thought we were like what we are now, just wait.
She said the cries of this widow are going to echo around the world. I was like, oh gosh. You said that things aren't like stopping. Things are still going. They're not canceling anything. Yesterday or last night at Colorado State, Charlie was scheduled to speak there. And Isabel Brown, I don't know if you know who that is, but she was with Turning Point, and a very good, like, female version of Charlie. What he did on campuses, she started doing that too. She's very young as well, but that was her alma mater, and she went back to Colorado State and had like this memorial for him instead.
Oh wow! There's
over 10,000 people that filled Colorado State's football stadium.
That's awesome
to have that. I did see Brylan Hollyhand. You probably don't know who that is either, but he's a rising star, I'd say, in the conservative movement. He actually just partnered with Turning Point to do about 10 different college campus like conversations, kind of like that. So not only is it not stopping, you have more people joining the fight now to keep it going. And I think what I'm most excited for with Erika leading this now is that her and Charlie both said during one of the podcasts that she is way more conservative than Charlie is. Oh. And Charlie said, if y'all thought I'm conservative, I'm actually a moderate compared to Erika. And I was like, oh, they don't know what they've done. They don't know what they've they've cracked open a can of worms here. Mm-hmm. So I'm excited for that. I'm looking at notes. I don't see anything else. Any other points to make over this?
I got two, and then I'm done. One, can we also talk about the positive side of what we've seen, especially on Sunday?
Yes.
Like I said it again. This is the fourth time I said like. That one doesn't count.
Yeah, we're trying to get
trying to work on my speech. But man, we saw atheists come to faith in Christ. We saw people who have not been in a church service in years
or ever
attend a local body. Mm-hmm. We've seen people step up and say, I was never really religious, but I saw what Charlie stood for, and I also see the evil in this world, and I don't want to stand on the same side as evil. Mm-hmm. Even I could just testify to our church service before the message was even preached, before the Bible, before our pastor faithfully opened God's word during worship, 7 people came up and said, I need to know who Jesus is. And we watched them give their life to the Lord. And to me, that screams the reality of what Charlie stood for. Yeah. He is a martyr for everything that's good in this world, which is Christ. And the rallying cry behind that, just that standpoint, just people getting back into church or exploring, just even exploring it. We have no idea what the Holy Spirit can do in and through that. And so that to me was like, I teared up on Sunday. I was sitting in the pew just crying.
Bawling. Especially the sermon title. And I think a lot of churches had the Turning Point as their sermon title. I do want to bring up a point, and not to be like a negative side of this, but
I know what you're going to ask.
No, a lot of people said that pastors shouldn't bring up Charlie Kirk in their service.
I knew this is the route you were going to go.
And I think that's absolutely ridiculous because, number one, he wasn't just a political figure. You can have somewhat of a debate between not bringing up politics in church. Fine. That's your prerogative. I don't agree with it because there's no such thing as separation of church and state. But Charlie wasn't just a political activist. He was a disciple of Jesus. I'd say a missionary. And what's the word for when they share the gospel? Isn't there a word for like just explaining the gospel to people?
Oh, apologetics?
Yeah. I'd say that he falls in that category too, because he'd sit there and go through the gospel and explain it. So I think it's very fitting that churches would bring up Charlie Kirk on Sunday, and rightfully so.
Okay, so here's my thoughts on that. I saw this social media post, and I would say I agree with it. If you're upset that your pastor didn't talk about Charlie Kirk on Sunday, that's not a good reason to leave your church. There's only one non-negotiable for a pastor to talk about, and that's Jesus Christ. Now, I agree with that. Like, we cannot make the service political. Yeah. Like, we shouldn't center it around this, but we should be bold. And Brandon, our pastor, poured into us the following Monday because he preached the gospel. But he mentioned, we even shared the tribute that the White House shared on their page, which is was a gospel, like millions of people heard the gospel through that video, and it was a tribute to Charlie Kirk, which shows you what he stood for. I mentioned theologians, I mentioned authors and pastors all the time in sermons or from the pulpit, and I use them in quote. And so we should have, like, you should talk about the situations happening around us, no matter who it was, but also to ignore it. Yeah. And I think that's the question we have to start raising. And I don't think a pastor would admit it, to say, oh, like, I don't want to lose money. I don't want to lose members. Yeah. Deep down, that might be what it is, which is a sad truth of where we have taken Christ, and we've turned the church into a money market. Not for everybody, though. I do believe that we need to talk about cultural issues happening around us, because if we don't address them, people are going to leave with more questions than they do answers. If I just tell somebody, we just talked about mental health the other day. If I left there and I just said, you just need to pray more, that would leave so much more questions as to who God is. Where is he in these trials and circumstances? That's the question that we have to ask about situations like we just saw last week with Charlie Kirk. He was assassinated, and he stood for what was right. And so people are raising the question, even just saying, why was his life taken? Why would God allow something like this to happen? And we, as ministers of the gospel, we as members of the church, we as Christians have to be able to listen and answer such things. Yeah. And so we should have, every church should have at least acknowledged the fact that, hey, what took place is so vile and so evil. Yeah. And there is a hope in one man, one name, and that is Christ. And that's, Charlie trusted in that. Yeah. And that because in his death, he is now with that Savior. There is hope. There is so much hope through only the gospel. Yeah. And so, yeah.
I will say, if your pastor did say that he deserved to die, or that he was
that is a rightful reason to leave the church.
Leave the church and then expose the church so that church gets shut down.
Let me just say this. Not leave the church as a whole.
That physical one.
That local body one. And find a local body. And we had people coming to our church or even messaging us beforehand and saying, hey, are you guys going to talk about what happened? And we were able to say, yeah. And it's not only because my pastor's a former military, served in the Marines, faithful, fought for our country, but I think he's just a noble and faithful man of God that is willing to say, hey, there's issues happening around us. We're going to talk about them.
Yeah, find a church that has a pastor who has a spine, that's not afraid to bow down to the world and the culture and getting canceled.
Yes.
Get canceled. What was your second point?
My second point that I wanted to mention is that I hope Christians come to the realization of what Jesus really represents in all of this. I don't hate anybody. I do not. I don't hate anybody on the left. I don't hate the women on The View. I don't like their take. I think it's evil and ugly. I don't even hate the shooter that shot Charlie. I don't know him. I know what he stands for, again, is wicked and disgusting. But as a believer, I have to look past what I see and walk by faith. And I look to Jesus on the cross, and I see him being nailed and beaten by people like you and I. And I hear the words, "Forgive them, Father, for they do not know what they do." And I am not justifying any evil that is taking place. I'm not justifying the comments that are being made, the hate speech that is all over social media and through the mouthpieces of people around us. But I need us to understand as believers that there is a forgiveness that we must put on the table, that we must lay down at the altar and lay at his feet, and recognize and realize, like, I am not a follower to a politician. I am not a follower to anybody in this world. I am a follower to Christ. And to be more like Jesus means saying, hey, I can forgive the shooter. And Lord willing, one day, and hopefully soon, because I don't know what I really don't know what the end result's going to be, the death penalty or what for him. I can only hope that he repents and puts his faith in the gospel. And to the people that say, like, I would never want to serve a God that would allow such a thing, you need to recognize the heart in this. Like, this is not them saying, oh, I believe in Jesus, and then somebody's life being lost and them just gaining heaven. There is a genuine heart posture and change that softens inside of us. And we have to, but because if it took place for you, it could take place for anybody. I always tell people that. Why? Like, I have no idea why God would ever choose somebody like me, a sinner, a wretch.
Yeah, I don't know either.
But at the same time, we cannot play this game where this evil outranks this evil. You know, my lies and my bad mouth, all these things do not outweigh somebody being like somebody that murders or takes somebody's life and so forth. We need to recognize that the gospel is the transformative power that is beyond this world's understanding. And we need to give it to every single person. The Bible does not limit. It says, take it to the ends of the earth, to the world. And that means people that disagree with you. Even Charlie did that. And so, who am I to not say, hey, anybody can come to faith in Christ? And that is my hope. That is sincerely and genuinely my hope. I don't hate anybody. I don't hate anybody. West Virginia fans might be the exception.
I hate Pitt. You said West Virginia first, so I
was
right
joking though.
No, I hate Pitt.
Cameras.
Oh, I hate Pitt. Not their fans, just the school.
You just hate them from a standpoint of college football.
Right. Yeah. Speaking of...
I do not endorse what comes out of his mouth.
Speaking of, do you want to make your picks?
I do. Thank you. I do.
To
5
anyone...
games. Nobody's... Even if you don't listen to this, this is for me. No. Give me 60 seconds, tops. Let me pick 5 games real quick. Hold on. Stand by.
You should have already had this. We'll start with Indiana, Illinois.
I'm going with Indiana, who's at home, who apparently is the not the underdog, even though they're ranked 19th, Illinois 9. That still doesn't make sense to me. I don't care if they're at home or not.
Look at your phone while you're doing this.
But I'm taking Indiana. Who are you taking?
I think I'm also taking Indiana just because it's at home. And,
understandable.
You know, the Big Ten is just garbage all around, and they don't play anyone except Oregon and Ohio State.
I'm going to ignore the fact that you said that. Moving on to the second game. Florida at Miami. I believe that this is the hot seat game for, what's his name at Florida?
I don't know.
I can't remember. But I think if they lose this game, he's fired.
Well,
so
I guess he's going to be fired.
I am taking Miami. I do think Florida can pull off the upset, but I am taking Miami at home. Carson Beck looks good. Hate to admit that. Do not like Miami, but he does look good. What?
Nothing.
Okay, who you take? You're taking Miami?
Yeah.
Very good. Okay, moving on to game 3, West Virginia at Kansas. I have to throw this game in there because of the person sitting next to me.
Yeah, but I don't like this game.
Rock chalk, baby. I'm taking the Jayhawks to obliterate the Mountaineers. Listen, and I'm a fan. I'm a fan of Rich Rod. I really am.
Tell Nana that.
He's great for the culture. Nana, if you're listening to this, you have to accept this reality that Rich Rod is good for Mountaineer football. He really is. And he brings something to the table that is going to draw recruits in. So, give him 3 to 5 years, but I'm telling you, you guys should be back on the map before we know it. One of the best atmospheres in football, too. But they're at Kansas, and Kansas is taking this game. Jaden Daniels is going to go off.
Kansas isn't a hard place to play, but I think Kansas beats us. But I'm picking West Virginia.
Right. Texas Tech at Utah.
Utah.
Texas Tech.
Utah.
Okay. Well, you're wrong. Texas Tech. I'm going to do 2 more games. I think that was 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so 2 more. Auburn and Oklahoma, that's where game day's at.
See, everyone's hyping Auburn up, saying that's where game day is.
It's at Oklahoma.
Gosh,
okay, but
I know.
Reese Davis
I know
did
it's
post about this. No. I'm lying. Wait a second. Is that at Oklahoma or is it at...
The game's at Oklahoma.
I thought it was Miami, Florida was the game day. I think it's Miami, Florida.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Okay.
So,
I'll ignore that though.
Go
Oklahoma,
ahead.
Boomer Sooner.
right. So I'm also taking Oklahoma. I was saying that Auburn.
I
people are
haven't
hyping
heard
them up.
I haven't heard that.
Yeah,
a lot of
just
people have been hyping Oklahoma up.
They're,
I even
they're
heard
ranked. They're growing in the rankings, but
they haven't.
week 4 is just going to humble them.
Who they play week 4? Georgia.
This is week 4, buddy.
Oh, Oklahoma's humbling them. Gotcha. Final game. Michigan at Nebraska.
Whoa.
Everybody's riding Nebraska. And I cannot stand Michigan, but I'm taking
It's
Michigan.
at Nebraska?
It's at Nebraska. I just don't know. They get hyped up every single season. They could win the game, but I'm taking Michigan.
I don't like Michigan.
I don't either, but I can't pick on emotion.
Go Big Red.
Eat some corn on the cob. That's how.
I wish we still had the 2 camera shot, but
yeah.
it died.
Yeah. But
Right.
I'm going 6-0 this week. That's my prediction.
Wrong.
Hey,
Oh, back to you.
thank you for tuning in to the Battle Belongs podcast.
We'll see you next week.